Right, we're now going to deal with these three other types of rock, if you remember, getting the white flecks on dark rock, creating these little bits of fungus lying on this rock here, and also this is the one we're going to start with, where we create a nice marble effect. Now I'm going to use the number 12 round again and the rigger, and I've created three colours. There's plain raw sienna, there's raw sienna mixed with a little bit of phthalo blue to give us a greeny grey, and the raw sienna mixed with equal proportions of the light red to give us a nice warm orange. Right, what I've done here is put in a wash of the neat raw sienna and then come in with washes of the greeny grey. I've taken some of the strong orange mix, added it to a little bit of the raw sienna that was left and a little drop of water to thin it down, so it's a slightly lighter, thinner mix than that orange. Hopefully, if I've timed this right, is to run it very quickly and gently along these pencil lines that I've drawn, which are the lines of the, I suppose, the veins. Make sure, like the branches of a tree, as you get to the end, the line gets thinner like that. Right, I've just taken some clean water and putting it back into the mix, making it even waterier. There's another word you didn't know about, and I'm just going to run that over the line of the veins, so you can see you don't want it dead even. It really is going lighter and darker and here and there. Now, because I've flooded that area, the paint is running away in quite a natural, dare I say, marble-like way. So this is a nice little exercise in putting paint on, taking it off in a relatively random but nevertheless controlled way with a paper towel, and then lifting colours out and putting them back in with watery paint and stronger paint. As I say, overall it's a great little exercise, I find, in learning how to control the paints that you put on the paper and getting the timing right. Now, one of the properties of grease and water is that they simply don't mix, so we're exploiting that property in this technique. But I'm just simply scraping it, as simple as that, in roughly the areas I think that I want the light spots to be. Now you can see I've painted over a dark colour of Payne's grey with some ultramarine blue added and a little bit of raw sienna, a bit of everything really, just to keep it dark. And having painted over it those colours, you see, you can paint as much as you like, but those areas where you've put the candle wax on will stay uncovered. They'll just repel the water automatically as much as you paint. It won't take the water at all. As you can see, I've painted a few little ripples of water, or of the reflection of the rock lather, and I've just left that little line underneath to define where the water finishes and the rock starts. Now what I'm doing here is just using the dampened corner of the paper towel just to take out some light spots, not the white flecks, mind, just some light spots on the rock, and that just helps to give it a little bit of definition. You can see there, as if there was a few bumps and hollows on it that were catching the light. So there we are. It's a simple technique to create light flecks on the rocks, but don't overdo it. And remember, once the wax has gone on, you can't get it off. Right, now this is the normal table salt that you will get for cooking and for eating, and which we probably, most of us in the Western world, eat too much of. Here we have sea salt, and you can see the grains are quite a bit coarser than the refined salt. And finally, here's the rock salt, which comes out of this, but before it's been ground out through the bottom. So you can see there's quite a different size in grains. Right, this time I've mixed up a blue-grey colour with the burnt umber and the ultramarine blue, but I've also mixed here a nice green colour. I've put more yellow on this side and more blue on this side, so I'll pick different bits of it up just to give us a bit of variety when we come to actually paint the rock itself. Now you can see I've put this cool grey on like that, but you can see there's odd little places here and there, just there and there and there, where it's actually not, the paint isn't sticking. You can see there's all sorts of places emerging, and I think that's happened from when I brushed it down, the crumbs of candle down here, and they've scraped and left their mark on this rock below. But not to worry, because we can turn that to our advantage with a little bit of highlight that's created. Now on this side I want this area of green to represent the moss. I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow underneath here as well. I'll put a little bit of streak of light red just there. Just gives a little bit more variety to the rock surface. And that's fine, and that's going to blend down quite nicely. But before it does, and certainly before it dries, what I'm now going to do is to get a little more than a pinch of salt. Really, you must make sure your hands are dry. These are a bit wet at the moment off that brush. Sprinkle from an inch or two above the paper, so you can keep some sort of fairly strong control. And you should be able to see already these little grains are sucking up the paint towards them, and that's how it actually works. What happens is that these grains of salt actually suck in the paint and pigment that's immediately round them and absorb it, and underneath where the salt crystal is, you find this nice random effect of much lighter paint, and we'll see what happens when it dries off. The only thing is with this is that you can't obviously use the hairdryer to dry it and speed up the process, because you're going to blow it all away. Right, now we've taken off the salt and wiped it away. That was the hardest part, getting it all off once it's done. And you can see all these little marks that the salt has made. You can see the bigger marks have been made obviously by the bigger grains of salt from the rock salt. So I suppose depending on what you're trying to achieve, perhaps a mix of both is in order. Right, so we've just put some sort of shadow there, brought this in a little bit more, just gone round, as I say, just let it dance around some of these larger spots. Now, a little bit of shadow, deep shadow under there to tell us that the rock is sitting right down and blending into the earth and turning it into a little bit of grass, maybe like that. Okay, and there we are. I think we'll leave it at that. You've got the idea, using the sea salt or the rock salt, just putting it on, letting it soak up the moisture, and then working around the resultant little flecks of light that it actually creates for you. So there they are. There's 3 simple ways to create texture. The only thing I would say is that use these devices sparingly. Now obviously you need to practice the techniques, and that's fine, but practice them while you're doodling. What I'm saying is don't put them in every single painting from now on, just because I've shown you the technique.